for the United States Senate for 2018, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Lost a tough one yesterday, huh? When Donald Trump came out in favor of Josh Hawley.
Well, I don't know that that's a tough one. That I don't even consider that a loss. And if I could explain, there are a lot of parallels right now between Hawley's campaign and Jeb Bush from 2015 and Luther Strange from 2017. So, the key takeaway here is the president is operating on the information that he has.
Right.
And obviously, Hawley is very popular in the Washington swamp. He's losing respect here in Missouri, but he's very popular in Washington. This is the information that the president is operating on, and I see Hawley's campaign essentially the parallels between that and the Jeb Bush and the Luther Strange down in Alabama.
Josh Hawley, I believe, won more of the vote than Donald Trump did in the state.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he is pretty popular in the state, or at least was a year ago.
Right. I think that shift is obviously there once he became Mitch McConnell's #1 recruit. We're seeing a lot of Mitch McConnell reaching into other people's states and Washington reaching into people's states and trying to control their elections.
All right, we'll get to all that in a second.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you for a second.
Okay.
You're a Navy veteran, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Arkansas, left home for school, and then I joined the Navy just after 9/11. I was, how much time do we have, I guess? Can I just go ahead and eat some of the clock up on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know there's a lot of important issues, obviously, to talk about. But so after 9/11, I joined the military, and I was grateful to be selected for the intelligence program. Went on to serve in the USS Bonner Richard, and then later on with SEAL Team 5 as an intelligence analyst. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I deployed with them as an intelligence analyst to Iraq. And
did you
ultimately
know Greitens at all? You passed Greitens?
No, we've never worked together. We worked in the same theater one time, but we never met or never worked together. Okay. He was always in a different unit. But I was really grateful to have done 4 deployments total in the Middle East, 2 of which were with Navy Special Warfare. So from there, I was recruited to the Defense Intelligence Agency, and I did a number of years there. I worked in a diplomatic capacity down in the U.S. Embassy in Panama. For a couple of years, and then I left and went to school, and that's when I met Chanel, my fiance.
Your fiance, is she from St. Louis, or is she from Missouri?
She's from southern Missouri. Well, she was born in Texas, but she grew up most of her life here in Missouri. She grew up in southern Missouri.
So you moved then to Missouri because of your fiance?
Well, I decided in 2015 to move back to Missouri and make it my home. Chanel and I had only been dating probably for a few months, so I wouldn't say that was the decision. The unique thing about military guys or people in the intelligence community or in the State Department, when they come back to the U.S. after serving for nearly a decade or more overseas, they see the United States as just a blank slate, a borderless blank slate. I think for me it was, I spent every 4th of July since I can remember in Table Rock Lake, for example. So for me it was maybe that childhood experience that really drew me back to southern Missouri, which I think is the best kept secret in the country, frankly.
All right, Courtland Sykes, why do you want to be a United States Senator? Why do you want to put up with all this?
The sleepless nights and all
the sleepless nights, the running around, the craziness, the insanity of it all. Why do you want to do it?
Well, I mean, there has to be a love of country. That's number one, a selfless. And this is one thing that I think a lot of the American voters are looking for is people that are really genuine about and authentic about the service to this country. That has to be number one. But also, for me, after the election, we supported Trump all the way through the 2015 and 2016 election cycle. And after what we saw, what was happening in Congress, I wanted to do something about it. After 9/11, for example, I saw that we were in crisis with 9/11. And I had that same feeling after seeing Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, blocking the president's agenda right after the inauguration.
All right, so it's a pretty uphill battle, right? Mm-hmm. You're no disrespect, you're not very well known. Sure. Yeah. You're not very well financed yet. Yeah. But to go up against Josh Hawley, who is a well-known auditor of the state. He's
Attorney General.
Attorney General. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. He's got the backing of all the major financial people. He's got Mitch McConnell backing him. He's got the Danforth of the world backing him. I know he's met with Steve Bannon, and so he's got something going on there. So I mean, why fight this uphill battle?
Well, I believe in the message. I mean, look.
But how are you different than Josh Hawley?
Oh, well, I mean, okay, so we'll start with the Mitch McConnell. Obviously, he was recruited by Mitch McConnell. This is the Washington establishment. And really what you have is three camps in Washington, in Congress. You have the Democrats that believe in their cause and make up a very small amount. And then you have the establishment, which include both Republicans and Democrats. And I'm happy to explain that apparatus.
Sure.
I'm sure I know you're well read on that. And then you have what's called the Freedom Caucus. It's the smaller camp. And these two smaller camps are really dedicated to true service, and they're.
Where are you? Are you in the Freedom
Caucus?
You're
yes.
You're a Freedom Caucus.
I'm
guy.
a Freedom Caucus candidate.
I don't understand why they don't like Mitch McConnell. He's the reason why Neil Gorsuch is on the Supreme Court. You like Neil Gorsuch?
Well, Mitch McConnell knows how to. Oh, of course, I do.
Right.
Yeah, respect. I have a high amount of respect, but Mitch knows how to play this game, and that's all it is to them. So you have this apparatus that they've built, right, where they control the money. The money comes to them, right? So then they get to control the legislation that keeps them in office. This is why we have career politicians. And then they start recruiting. They reach into other states, and they are basically buying off these candidates.
But
they're saying,
what is
we
Mitch
will give
McConnell doing or voting for or pushing that you're against?
Well, he's firmly against the president's agenda. He's made that clear.
Where?
Well, I mean, the entire establishment Republic. Well, I wouldn't say the entire. I would say that the president has roughly 4 Senate supporters in the Senate in terms of Republicans.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't have any Democrat supporters.
Well, but hold on a second. But it seems like they're lockstep in barrel with this tax bill.
Well, they're having to because they need to win re-election.
It sounds like they were together on the repeal
McGraw,
of Obamacare.
They certainly weren't together the entire election cycle.
No.
We know that the entire establishment fought tooth and nail against President Trump.
There's no question about that. But
So wait. Are you arguing that all of a sudden they had a change of heart and now they want to work with him?
No,
they want him out of there. They definitely want him out of there.
Well, but they're working together on this tax plan. You would agree with that?
I would say this is an example of a businessman that wanted to run for president and really sacrifice a lot to be in that office, and a professional politician that is used to saying and doing whatever he has to do to be in the Senate for decades.
But where is the difference? Where are you on this tax bill? Is this a good tax bill?
Well, I mean, there's still
but I mean overall.
It's certainly good. It's certainly good. It's certainly good for the American people.
If you're a United States senator today,
right?
Would you be voting for this by the end of the week?
Yes.
Okay.
There's also I don't know if we have time for this, and I don't know how many questions.
I got an hour. So
okay, very good.
As long as you're interesting, you'll stay here.
Fair enough.
All right.
That's fair. So on the way in, I actually heard the conversation that you had with Claire.
Yeah.
And there were a few questions that I think went unanswered. And obviously, the key takeaway here is that they're still ironing this thing out, and we all know that. So we really we have to reserve judgment until that happens.
But we know we know a lot.
But I want to I want to address one question that I felt went unanswered, and that was the reason I guess it stuck out in my mind is because of your response and thinking it was absurd that we would cut the budget or not the budget, but the deductible rate for teachers.
For those who didn't hear the interview, we had Claire McCaskill on earlier, and I said, why are they taking away deductions like teachers who donate money, $250 for supplies for the school? Right. Teachers get to deduct that off of their income. That's going away. Graduate students who teach and get free tuition, that tuition is now going to be deemed income, which has to be taxed. So I said, what's the point? That this seems like that's pennies, and you're sort of, it doesn't make any sense to me in terms of solving our problems.
Well, it's not pennies, and it is important. And these teachers, that $250 is very important to them. It's a lot of money.
Well, right. So let's give them at least the tax deduction.
And that's exactly what we did. But you're not hearing that narrative. This is what happened.
Are you saying the tax deduction for the teachers is taken away?
No, I'm saying this is what happened. In the House, they doubled it. It went from $250 to $500 in the House.
In the Senate,
the Senate, they took it away, but only after offering a $12,000 deduction for every individual in the country.
Hold on. Courtland Sykes, I love you. I want to give you all the time. I want to give you all the time on this because I think it's important to get Well, first of all, I think it's important because too many elected officials don't come and sit in the show.
Okay, fair enough.
So, one, that's why I invited you on the show. Okay. And I want to get your agreement, or at least you on record, to say that when you do win, you will come back from time to time.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
All right.
I'd love to.
Let's talk about this standard deduction, which they're doubling.
Did I touch a nerve on
Well,
this?
my taxes are going up on this.
Okay.
So you want to vote, and I did not want this to be contentious at all. So I'm not yelling at you and or trying to make it
No. One of the reasons, first of all, one of the reasons I came on here is because I know you're a professional, and we can have a dialogue,
really?
and we can push it. Yeah,
fire that guy who told you that.
My bar might be a little low. No, I do. I think that we can have a responsible conversation, and so I don't want you to hold back.
Okay.
I want you to pull the filter off and let's go.
So the standard deduction is, and this is in the weeds, but it's very important. The standard deduction, and let's take me. Standard deduction is approximately $6,000, right? Then I get a standard exemption, which is like $4,000. So I get, on my taxes, if I choose not to take the standard deduction, which is $10,000, it'll go up to $12,000.
Right.
So it's not doubling. It's really only an extra $2,000 they're taking off.
So would you rather have, so if I were to offer you $2,000 or $250, which would you have? Which would you take?
Well, but hold on a second. I don't.
Well, I mean, it's senseless to complain about the 250 when you know the full budget of the.
But if the
rates
teacher,
going up.
if the teacher, and I get it. I believe in a flattening of the world. I get it. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it's not that simple.
Did you hear about the guy that wanted to shoot himself out of a cannon because he was convinced that the Earth was flat the other day?
Yes, yes, I did.
So I'm sorry.
No.
Chasing rabbits here.
But those things seem to be just not going to solve the problem. Whereas my taxes are I don't get any child tax deductions or any child credits. I'm going to have to pay taxes. On my taxes, which I can't believe the Freedom Caucus is a fan of. Businesses don't have to pay businesses can deduct their local and state taxes. I can't. My taxes are going up. I can't believe that the Republican Party, that has talked about cutting taxes forever, is now going to raise my taxes. And taxes, they have these triggers, right? They keep talking about the triggers. Triggers are bad for business. We can't put triggers in. But they're going to put triggers in for the rest of us.
We'll see. No, I understand that. And I'm not, we'll see how the triggers play out, okay? And I'm not too excited about them. Frankly, right. I think triggers only destabilize legislation. And so now we don't know where we stand.
And what about this Claire brought up, which was if you're traveling, if you're in Kansas and you get a job in Kansas City, right now you can deduct your moving expenses.
I heard this, and then you can move companies
But if a company
overseas.
moves to Mexico, they can deduct those moving expenses out of the country, but the individual can't deduct their moving expenses from Kansas.
Right. So back to the teachers, because I know it's this was our original point.
Yeah.
The reason I brought that up is I think it's only fair if you're going to illustrate this narrative that, well, they're taking the teacher's deductible rate away. It's not fair to say they're taking it away and they're not giving anything in return. They're obviously giving a much bigger package in return. And I think it's disingenuous to ignore the fact that the House Republicans said, we're going to increase it double. We're going to increase it from 250. Hold on, they did. No, they did.
The House did.
They absolutely did. Right. And these are Republicans, and they're all working together.
But you're running for the Senate, though.
Well, then elect me. Vote for me, and I'll take care of it. I'm happy to hear you out on this. But I'll say this: the narrative illustrates that Republican senators are bad. Now they hate teachers. Well, this is nonsense. No, this is nonsense. So, but that's the whole. That's what people are hearing. This is what your listeners are hearing when you say things like, "Well, the Senate Republicans are taking away the teacher's ability to deduct from school supplies." Well, that's not true. It's not true, and that was never the intention. It was never the intention, and it's not true.
But isn't it an incentive to have the teachers give some of their own money, right? So take that incentive away. If businesses need an incentive to hire people by lowering their taxes, right? How come we don't give an incentive to teachers to donate a little bit of their own money to the cause?
I'm not following you. You're saying that they should receive.
If we're taking away that inducement by the teachers, right? Right? Aren't we sort of saying, isn't it sort of a bit of social engineering, or at least a bit of, hey, we're encouraging you, if you do this, the government will give you a little help.
So you're saying by giving them a beneficial deductible rate, a higher deductible rate, you're saying that actually hurts teachers now.
No.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly.
What I'm saying is it's taking away the incentive for the teacher to buy $250 of supplies for their class.
No.
It's
not.
How
is that possible?
Because they're not getting the... If a business won't hire somebody...
No, we understand the numbers. We understand the numbers. And I understand what you're saying, and my answer is no.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Courtland Sykes, we got to stop.
Okay, very good.
We at least have to break.
Okay.
He is running for United States Senate. We have a lot more to get to, a lot more about his life. Courtland Sykes is Navy veteran, Missourian, running for Senate, and the primary is against Josh Hawley, and it's a pretty crowded field, isn't it?
Well, I hope it gets more crowded. I think
the more the better.
I think the more the better. I think that Missouri has a lot of talented Republicans, and this is an opportunity in this 2018 election to really show off our talent here in Missouri.
Courtland Sykes, more with him in a moment on the Big 550 KTRS. Bowen Dental Care,